I'm trying something a little bit different today. I'm going to try to work from my kitchen. That way the coffee is closer to me. And I don't know. We'll see how this goes. We will see how this goes. I honestly don't know. I know it's probably a little loud, but... Hey, what's up, Artwork Studios? How are you? Lost my cup. Am I late? No, you're not late. And yes, this is a coffee machine, an espresso machine. I didn't feel like working in my basement today, so I set up a little like workstation on my kitchen island, and I'm gonna try to work from the kitchen today. So the stream is happening in the kitchen today. Also, this has the added benefit that in the morning, the coffee is much closer. Hello, Wilo Gamer. How are you, man? Doing well? Hopefully you're getting caffeinated. All right. We've got the coffee. We've got some music. We've got a computer. Dr. Loban shots. Lift weights? I do lift weights. I actually have a home gym. Although I did strain my back like 7 days ago. Last Sunday, I was setting some dumbbells down, and I strained my back. But yeah, I love to lift weights. That's probably my favorite thing to do. If I could just spend all my day lifting weights, that's what I would do. But unfortunately, making a career as a weightlifter is kind of a difficult road. I was a personal trainer for quite a while and had a small gym that I owned. It was just difficult. It's difficult to make a living doing that full time. Respect to the people that do it. It's a rough road. Is that why you didn't stream for a bit? No. Why didn't I stream for a bit? I just didn't feel like it. Let's see. What was going on last week? Well, I had like 3 days last week where I had meetings in the office. So that kind of, whenever I have to leave the house during the day, that kind of screws up the stream schedule. But no, my back actually, the first day, the day after I strained my back, which it was the weirdest thing because I was doing dumbbell bench press, and I sat forward to put the dumbbells on my knees and go to the ground with them. Something I've done like a bajillion times. And I guess I just kind of sat them down in just quite the right way, or my back was in just the right position, that it just kind of tweaked it. But I'm feeling much better today. I've been doing a lot of rehab exercises. And yeah, a week into it, I'm feeling much better. This is like the third time I've done this to my back too. Raul, which keyboard are you using? So this keyboard is a keyboard I bought on Amazon. It is made by a company called, I think they're called Gamma K. I know that's backwards for you guys, but I'm pretty sure the name of the keyboard is, or the name of the brand is Gamma K, and then this model is the TK75 SE. And the reason why I like it is because it's gasket mounted. And I like the sound of gasket mounted mechanical keyboards. It wasn't terribly expensive either. I think maybe $60, $70, something like that. I kind of keep an eye on, I try to keep an eye on keyboards on Amazon. And whenever I see like $100 keyboard go on sale below that, I'll usually consider picking it up, assuming it's, you know, one I like and wanted. Looks retro to me. I think that was part of the, like, I think if I go back to the Amazon listing, I think that was part of the style. I just wanted something that was lighter color because all my other keyboards are kind of dark. So I wanted something that was lighter. What's up, Arvin? How are you, man? Good to see you. Let's see. Does it? Yeah, it calls out retro, Altimu, yellow switch. So yeah, I think that was part of like I think that's what they were going for, was a retro look. But I've been very happy with it. It's probably my second favorite keyboard that I have. I probably have 4 or 5 mechanical keyboards now, and this is, I think, my second favorite one. I've become really... Anyway, Steven, anything? Arvin, happy new view. Yeah, so this is in my kitchen, actually. It's closer to the espresso machine, and I didn't really feel like working in my basement, which is where my office is now. So I was like, well, I'll just set up in the kitchen this morning. And then I was like, oh, well, we could stream too while we do that. So that's why there's a new look. I don't know how often I'll relocate to the kitchen for work, but I mean, it's one of the benefits of remote work, right? It's like one of the benefits of remote work is that you can work anywhere you want. And so it feels kind of silly not to take advantage of that. Slack. Got to get all the work tools open. Hey, what's up, Tantai? How are you? Raul, almost standing desk. Yeah, so my desk in my office is a standing desk, and I guess this could kind of count as a standing desk. Like if I took because it's a bar, it's a kitchen, it's like a kitchen bar or island, like a kitchen island with a bar on it. So I think I could kind of work standing, and it would be all right. So probably a little low, but might as well. Arvin, I couldn't be better. Gone under section 7 of UN. Soon to be. Oh, let me open you guys' comments on my computer so I don't have to try to squint to read them on the phone. Pretty sure I can do that in YouTube Studio. Let's see. Content, lives. Yeah, there we go. They call it the control room, is what they call it. Pop out the chat. There we go. All right, now I got you guys in a better place where I can actually see what the heck you're saying. Let's see, soon to be under Article 42. Prices have gone 20% the past week. War due, and I'm still jobless, but at least you stream. Arvin, so you were... I thought you were being serious, but oh man, I'm sorry that all that shit's happening to you. Ton, is this a MacBook? No, this is you can't really see it because it's kind of low down here, but this right here is an Asus ZenBook. I bought this like 3 years ago, I think, at this point. Which I have historically been a MacBook person, at least up until the last 10 years or so. Basically, when I had kids, I basically was like, I can't justify as a dad spending that amount of money on a MacBook for what I get for that amount of money. And so about 10 years ago, I switched over to Windows and working on PCs and using PCs for creative work. And then um, that was right around the time I started learning how to code. So I also obviously learned how to code on a Windows PC. Wow, Steven, that's hotel level kitchen. It's a very nice kitchen. The house that we moved into is a very nice. I mean, all the houses where we live are very nice houses. Raul, you look like me who is still working here. It is 8 p.m., but much better looking. I don't think. Well, the only person I care that thinks that I'm decent looking is my wife, but I appreciate that. Yeah, and yeah, man, working at 8 p.m. that doesn't sound like fun. We actually had a deployment on Saturday, and so I was working on Saturday night till about 2 a.m. Sunday morning. Close to espresso machine so you can keep brewing and filling shots. Exactly. That was the real strategic move of streaming from the kitchen. Ton, look awesome. I feel like is that feedback or command? Because I don't know exactly how to look awesome. Because I'm a 32-year-old dad of two, so at this point I try not to be too embarrassing to my children. She's lying. Go to the barber, then hit the gym. I handsome, but you look unhealthy. Ooh. Well, I hope I don't look too unhealthy. I do need a haircut. I'm probably 3 or 4 months without a haircut at this point. I hate paying for haircuts, so I wait a long time in between haircuts. Yeah, so you can actually like kind of look at my YouTube channel over the last year or so, and you can look at the thumbnails and you can tell like, okay, he got a haircut here, then he got another haircut. You can like definitely see the timeline. I also so easy. I do love hitting the gym. Honestly, I actually have a garage gym that's like 10 feet that way that I'll be using this afternoon. I can pretty much use it whenever I want, which is the best. It's the best part of having a home gym. I thought we are the one who works with Eastern time zone for clients. Ah, that's rough, man. Time zones are rough. Hey, what's up, Network Bib? Yes, I at some point I just unbanned all people on my channel because I was trying to figure out if that was something that was causing Nightbot not to work. So good to see you again, Network Bib. Raul, you have two kids? I do have two kids. Yeah, I have a fourth grader and a second grader, which means in terms of like parenting timeline, like I'm pretty much kind of halfway done with the very intense part of parenting. Or which is, I think you need more sleep. maybe. I feel like I've actually been sleeping a lot better since we moved. So I've been sleeping much more like consistently through the night. I'm not sure if that's just like a new place, and so I've been better about like my sleep habits. I don't really know, but I feel like I'm sleeping fairly well. I'm 16. I don't know what to do with my life or the career or the career. Is coding worth it? Hey, Arun. I think at 16 that's pretty normal to feel that way, man. To not know what to do with your life or your career. I think it's pretty normal to feel that way even if you're 30, right? That's the big lie, is basically everyone is still just trying to figure it out. And they're making it up as they go along. So don't just know it's okay to have that feeling. As far as is coding worth it, in my opinion, obviously I'm very biased. I think coding is worth it. I very much enjoy programming, enjoy coding. Learning to code and program has been more about my own personal enjoyment and satisfaction than it has been about a career. luckily, those two things sort of coincided, luckily for me, where I landed in a job where, because I had started learning to code and program, it was super beneficial for what I was doing at work and opened up a lot of opportunities for me. That is to say, Arun, like, that doesn't mean coding's the only thing that's worth it, right? There's lots of skills in the world. There's lots of jobs in the world, lots of careers. So if you sit down to build a website and you don't feel excited or have enjoyment about building a website, or I guess it doesn't really have to be a website, but if you sit down to do something with code or programming and you don't enjoy it, like, that's okay. There's lots of other things to do in life. Stux, I didn't get a notification again. I'm sorry, Stux. Blame YouTube. Artwork Studios. Wait a sec. Why was Bib banned? Network Bib just got on my nerves one day. So well, I shouldn't say one day. He got on my nerves after several successive days in Discord and on stream, and that's why he got banned. Artwork Studios. Coding is worth it. Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah, like, how did I get a midlife crisis at 13? Yeah, I think life is a perpetual crisis about, like, what do I want to do and what am I doing and am I happy with what I'm doing? Like, I think that's just life. And you're just, it's a constant game of trying to seek contentment. Hey, what's up, Pablo? How are you? Yeah, I fell off last week. Arvin says, wait until real midlife crisis. I don't know if I've ever had a classic midlife crisis. I think, like, the classic midlife crisis, right, is like a guy turns 40, divorces his wife, leaves his kids, changes jobs, right? Like, that's like your classic midlife crisis, which to me doesn't seem all that healthy. But I think there is something healthy a little bit about some existentialism in your life, right? Like, what is this all about? What am I doing here? The key is to find an answer to that, right? That's the key. Yeah, Discord does get notifications, or it should be. I have a Discord bot set up there so that whenever I go live on YouTube, it should post to Discord. So if you're not in my Discord channel and you want to be notified or get notifications, that might be a better place for you to be. And you might be saying, okay, well, Stephen, how do I get to your Discord? Well, the easiest way is to use discord.stephenfreeborn.com, which I'll put in the chat here. Discord.stephenfreeborn.com. I tell you what, setting up vanity URLs like that has been, I wish I would have done that 10 years ago. What did Pablo say? Oh, that's fine. Yeah, everyone needs a good rest. Yeah, what happened last week? I don't really remember a whole lot. Well, there was there was 3 days last week where I had to go into the office for meetings, and whenever that happens, it really throws off the schedule for the day, like in terms of making content. So that was probably a big reason why there wasn't many streams last week. I used to be an artist before coding, actually. Oh, very cool. Well, that makes sense. Artwork Studios. That makes sense. If you're not fighting for being on a better place, you're not living. Midlife crisis is all that going wrong. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, life is like this. It's I think a good life, or for me, a good life involves a constant pull between wanting to drive progress in all areas of my life, financial, career, personal, while also fighting to be content with where I am and what I have today. And it's constantly pulling between those two ends of the spectrum. And sometimes I can move too far to one side, And there's probably times in my life where it's better to be towards one side or another. But I know that those are the two things I need to stay grounded in. I need as a person to be progressing and see progress in areas of my life. But then I also need to remember that I need to be content with what I have so that I can be present for my family and my kids and my wife, and I don't rush by what's happening currently in my life. I had a very cheap domain, super short, used that to make super short vanity URLs, worked flawlessly. Yeah, like vanity URLs are, I mean, I think the benefit for me with vanity URLs is it's just very easy to remember, right? Like someone says, what's your YouTube? Just go to youtube.stephenfreeborn.com. What's your GitHub? github.stephenfreeborn.com. Like it's just, it's much easier to like throw it out and remember it and share it than like, okay, what's the exact thing on LinkedIn people need to search for, you know? Our work studios, I don't know what vanity URLs really. Vanity URLs are basically just like, instead of saying, youtube.com/@Stephen you would I would set up a redirect that's basically, if you hit youtube.stephenfreeborn.com, I just redirect you to that YouTube URL, but I can refer people to that nicer, more memorable, like on brand URL. Rahul Moore, do you have any secret startup project or idea which could lead to billionaire? To a billionaire? No, probably not. I mean, $1 billion is a lot of money. Like, $1 million is something like 30 something seconds. Or no, what is it? 1 million seconds is like 30 something days, I think. And 1 billion seconds is like 33 years or something like that. I probably have those numbers wrong, but the order of magnitude there is crazy. So probably not $1 billion. Yeah, I really don't have any really good. I was actually, when I was in the office this last week, I was talking to one of my coworkers, and we were talking about this, about, God, it'd be so nice to come up with some sort of business or micro SaaS or SaaS that like just made you like $1,000 extra bucks a month, or like $1,500 extra dollars a month, right? It's like, that's not a ton of money, but like if you were to take that $1,500 extra a month and just invest it, like let's say like you make $1,500, you put 30% away for taxes, because here in the States, roughly on self-earned income, you're going to pay about 30% in tax. And then you take the rest and you just invest it. In 10 years, what's that? That's like 12 grand a year compounded over. You leave that sit for 10, 12 years. Like that's a lot of money. But unfortunately, I don't have any good SaaS ideas at the moment. Let's see. Our shoes don't know how to set up. Kent C. Dodds, Netlify, shortener is great for vanity URLs. There you go. So our work studios, there's a good resource Pablo just linked to. Today I received news that may change that entirely. What do you mean, Pablo? Oh, hold on. I missed your earlier message. I was feeling comfortable in my place, and was planning to start moving and thinking about changing job and such. Oh, well, what was the news that made you decide not to change jobs? Our studios, as far as vanity URLs go, the way I did it was I just set up an Nginx reverse proxy, and use certbots to get certificates for HTTPS. That's how I do all my vanity URLs. It's just, I actually wrote a blog about it here. It's not super complicated to do. Hold on, let me see. Here you go. You just need a server. And if you want to work with Nginx, you could use some other reverse proxy or web server. Artwork Studios. There you go. That's a blog where I kind of detailed what I did or how I set mine up. Ooh, can I see? Can we get a tutorial on how to set it up? Oh yeah, I can make a video about that. The blog is super detailed, so that might be more helpful, like just follow it step by step, but I can make a video about that. Arun, let's see, Arvin. In my country, $1 equals 1 million X of our national currency here. 80% of the population are multimillionaires. Well, that's kind of cool. Hey, Voldy, how are you? Good to see you, man. Don't you get frustrated that you have the same cycle every day? Don't I get frustrated that I have the same cycle? You mean, do I get frustrated that my routine is the same? If that's the question, no, I don't. I love routine. Like I prefer routine. Like, and I'm reminded of that every time I travel. I'm reminded that I am a routine person. Oh, your company might get acquired, Pablo? That's super cool. That's super cool. So you got like a new job without having to actually get a new job. So that's a win. A win is a win. I don't like having to look to the left. And okay, let me see. Though finding the server would be a small hassle. Yeah. If you can host one in your house, if your router allows you to port forward and you could host a small little VPS in your house, that might. Well, I guess in that case it wouldn't be a VPS; it'd just be a private server. That might be a good option because it's free. Otherwise, you could try to look like I have a free VPS in Oracle Cloud, and it's a pretty generous free tier. Boldy, I'm good, Stephen. What about you? I am doing well, man. Yeah, we moved recently, so that's why my background looks probably a little bit different. I'm actually in my kitchen. So, yeah, I'm doing well, man. I'm healthy. The kids are healthy. My wife's healthy. Job is going well. Yeah, I can't complain. Have some coffee. I'm working on answering some Slack and some emails and just getting my day started. Yeah, Voldy, no worries, man. I mean, I feel like y'all have lives, right? And so joining my streams, don't even worry about it, man. No apology needed. Good to see you. I hope all the busyness was good busyness, is what I hope. That's a win. I'll take it. Yeah, routine is great. I mean, I know not everybody feels that same way, but like I enjoy routine. I enjoy schedule. That was actually one of the reasons when I started in tech, I started on a support team. And that was fine, but I really didn't care for the super reactive nature of support. And the job I had before that was not reactive at all. It was all project based work. So when I landed in kind of the tech sphere, I knew I eventually wanted to move to the product side of the house because I wanted to get to a place that was less reactive, right? Where there was more of planning and projects and kind of established timelines. That type of work I enjoy way more. Lovely kitchen, by the way. Oh, thank you, Pablo. Yeah, it's a super nice place. I mean, every house has its quirks, but for the most part, we're happy with how it's turned out. Rule. I'm having 10 years of experience with C#, .NET technologies, and when I see working in C#, then I start following you. Looks good. Oh, thanks, Raul. Yeah, I don't have 10 years of working in C# or .NET. I started. Well, I guess I worked. The first programming I ever did was in C#. So I took programming 1 and programming 2 in college as electives. I was a biochemistry major in college. So I guess I have done some programming in C# for 10 years because that would have been in 2014 or 2015. But yeah, more seriously, I've been building things in C# for like the last 4 or 5 years, and I really love it. I think one of my favorite parts too about the .NET ecosystem is I've really come to enjoy the people that work on the developer side of the house at Microsoft. People like David Fowler, Damian Edwards, Scott Hanselman, the VS Code team. I really enjoy following those people and interacting with those people online. And then obviously the programming language is great. I think the technology stack is great too. You could set one up in Netlify. I honestly don't know. I'm not sure. I've never used Netlify, so I'm not sure. I feel like Netlify is more of a serverless place to deploy something, so I'm not sure you could just have a server running in Netlify that gives you the ability to kind of administrate it the way you would need to configure Nginx. But maybe there's like Pablo posted that URL shortener. Maybe there's a way to use something like that to accomplish a similar thing with vanity URLs. $10 isn't that far back. I think I've been coding for 12, working for much less. Yeah, I'm always jealous of people that have been coding or programming or developing for that long. I was like, I didn't like, I hear these stories about people who have been like writing code since they were like 10, 11, 12, right? That wasn't me. Like I never really considered. My dad worked in IT growing up, and I never really those considered technology related fields as a job or like as something to do. I was much more of a like I was focused on athletics. Then I was focused on like strength conditioning, and it wasn't until, like I said, it wasn't until college I took programming 1 and programming 2. Then I didn't really touch anything programming related until 2021. So I'm super late to the game. Wow. You started when you were 9. That's incredible. I mean, I'm not saying that like doing something for a really long time is the be and end all, Arvin. I would agree, but like I just think it's impressive that people, picked it up so early in life. Yeah, it's pretty crazy to hear that. Blue Vortex said 6'7". I still understand that. I think I don't I have kids, but I guess I'm not on the internet enough, or maybe I'm not chronically online enough to really understand the whole 6'7" thing. Indy, what was your first big project after learning programming? Um, well, I think I've mentioned it before. I built a very simplistic game using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to help my son learn his to help my son learn math. And that was something I built early on, like when I had just started to learn kind of those basic web technologies. And I built it completely on my own. Like I didn't have any, like the only requirements were what me and my son thought would be helpful and useful. Uh, what was another one that I kind of built? So I built like a CLI tool that is kind of tangentially related to work. Um, but I built the CLI tool to facilitate some automation and interaction with an API. And I did that all by myself. And that was super rewarding. And both those projects were super rewarding. They were rewarding in the fact that it gave me feedback that like I kind of had figured this out. Like I kind of knew what I was doing, that somebody could give me a problem and I could go implement a solution without somebody having to hold my hand and show me every single step by step, you know, thing that needed to be done. Yeah, that was those two things were pretty impactful, I guess. Artwork says, "Are you tired, Steven?" No, I don't feel tired. Do I look tired? I'm sorry if I look tired, but no, I'm not tired. No one could tell me how software was made. Had to figure it out on my own. Luckily, Google was there to help. Yeah, yeah. I never. The thing is, Pablo, I just never like. There was never. I don't remember at least like a time in my teens or even early 20s ever stopping and thinking like, I wonder how all this works under the hood. But now I can't. Now I can't help but do that. What do you think about these Gen AI Copilot tools in daily office work in coding? I think they're great. Yeah, I think Copilot. I pay for Copilot and use Copilot. I also pay for Gemini. Um, and you know the thing with Copilot is it does make you more efficient. It does make you more productive. Like you can write code and refactor code in ways that feels very intuitive, and it does feel like Copilot's like in your head sometimes. Like it will guess exactly what it is you were sort of wanting to implement. It'll get like 85, maybe 95% of the way there. Or sometimes you'll want to make some updates or changes in a file, and it will save you, it'll probably save you like 2 or 3 minutes of moving your cursor around and making edits, and it will just do that with, 3 or 4 tabs. So I think it's very helpful from a professional programmer standpoint. You definitely have to learn how to use it the way you want to use it and how to integrate it into your workflow. I think the thing you have to be careful with is it's super easy to use Copilot so much that you sort of start to lose the sense of competency that you have, where like if you've not used Copilot before, if you use it a lot, there will be moments where if you turn it off, all of a sudden you find yourself habitually like typing and then pausing, and you're like, wait a minute, why am I pausing? And then you'll be like, well, wait a minute, what do I type next to complete this? And it's because your brain is sort of, you've gotten into this habitual place of like, you're just waiting on Copilot to finish your thought instead of you forming complete comprehensive thoughts and then writing it. So yeah, I just think you have to be mindful. Like, what is the context you're using it, and why are you using it? What are you trying to accomplish? There's a time and place. Let's see. Do I use it? Yeah, I do use it. I think I answered that. Yeah, I pay for Copilot and I pay for Gemini. Free CodeCamp projects are great for first projects. They are. Yeah, I love free CodeCamp. I love making CLIs much easier than graphics. Yeah, and I think a lot of times you don't like even that Stream Shorts thing I built, Artwork Studios. Like I feel like that's an example where the CLI is doing everything I needed to do. The only reason I'd really add a GUI is just for the fun of it. Like I just don't think the GUI adds that much more value than what I'm getting out of the CLI. Uh, GUIs I think are helpful for taking something you've built and making it more user friendly to people who aren't comfortable in the terminal. How is Office today? Oh yeah, Office is great. The Office at home. I wanted to know how it was built so hard. I went and learned it. Yeah, I feel you, man. You learned English to be better at programming. That's pretty cool. Funny how coding is so much learning, but that's what makes it fun. I just figured out a risk. Yeah, I think yeah, and I've said this before. I think I've put this on LinkedIn. But and I think I've said it on stream, but like if I had to identify as anything, I would identify myself as a learner. Like I've had 3 or 4 careers at this point in my life in very different fields, and the kind of meta skill that sits upon all that is the ability to learn and digest new information and acquire new skills. And I feel like coding or programming or technology in general is such a great field for people who kind of identify as learners, because it is perpetually that. Like you're perpetually having to upskill and add new skills and add new tools, and you can't just be static, right? So if you don't like to learn, programming and coding may not be for you. Raul, I tried Copilot in GitHub with issue and assigned the task to Copilot, and it did all the changes, build, create PR, work good, also comment and review to suggested changes. Yes. So the PR review is my favorite Copilot feature, Raul, because most of the time when I'm building things, I'm working by myself 9 times out of 10. And so it's really nice to be able to open a PR and have somewhat of a colleague that I can ask to look at my changes. And oftentimes it's super helpful to have Copilot drop a few comments. And sometimes I don't do anything with the comments it leaves, but other times it's caught stuff that I missed. So yeah, that's probably my favorite Copilot feature is the pull request review. I've not tried I guess I tried assigning Copilot a task once. I asked it to implement retry logic to my Discord bot for the initial connection that the bot makes. And I didn't really care for the work it did, so I just let that PR die. But it's very cool to have that functionality available to you. Shrek, I cannot help you with that, man. I use Copilot with Vim, but I disable it when I'm learning new language or trying to practice syntax. Yeah, MD, and I think that's the important part about using AI the right way for whatever context you're in, right? There's a time and place where your whole goal is efficiency and productivity. And so, yes, use all the AI tools. But there's also a time and place when you're trying to learn something new or acquire a skill set or build a mental model. And in those cases, that's probably where you don't really want Copilot continually jumping in, right? Those are more of the times when you probably want to use Copilot in more of a chat interface, or use something like Gemini, where you're more of asking exploratory questions, helping it to explain things to you, but you're not really using it to give you the answer or speed you along, or like take your reps. Shrek, do you recommend Emacs? I've never used Emacs. I know there's a perpetual war brewing between Emacs and Vim. I've never used it. Sir, what advice will you give to me? I'm starting out in the AI space. Eesh, Joe does AI. I guess, Joe, what are you trying to accomplish in AI, right? Are you trying to be like a prompt engineer? Are you trying to help people like small to medium businesses implement AI tools? Like what layer of the stack, I guess, so to speak, are you trying to work at, right? Because there's working in AI, which involves like building the models, right? That's working in AI. But then there's also working in AI where I teach people about prompt engineering, or I implement automated workflows using AI for businesses, right? It's like the difference between like, I don't know. I guess it's the difference between like a person who designs or engineers a home and the person who actually builds the home, sort of thing, right? They're kind of different. They're kind of different places. So I don't know if I have great advice to give you, but I'd just be kind of interested in what you're trying to accomplish in the AI space. Don't start, it's already occupied. I have no idea what you're talking about, Shrek. Pablo, I'm teaching my designer girlfriend to build her designs using Cursor. She knows zero programming, but she is producing great results because she knows what the page needs to do. That's very interesting, very cool. A very a very cool way that AI powered tools can democratize programming and coding to maybe people who otherwise would be dependent on a developer. So that's pretty cool. She's going to learn to code eventually through Cursor. Yeah, she will learn to code, right? Just through osmosis, by being in it and looking at it and reading it, and seeing how the code maps to, like, seeing how changes in code maps to what she sees on the page or how the page works. So that's very cool. I don't use Copilot much since I'm an OpenAI fanboy. Yeah, OpenAI is cool. I don't use ChatGPT quite as much. That I used that, obviously that was the product in the beginning, right? In 01, 02, pretty much everybody was using ChatGPT. But I think over the last year, I've pretty much consolidated most of my usage to Gemini and Copilot, because I pay for both of those, so I get unlimited usage and they do just about everything I need to do. Occasionally, I'll go to Claude and work with Claude, but I can interact with a lot of the Claude family of models through Copilot. And obviously, I don't pay for Claude, so I have some limits on how much I can use that service. But yeah. Vim is just great. Yeah, I like NeoVim. I use Vim when I'm SSH'd into my servers to edit files, but I use NeoVim like more regularly for development, and NeoVim is much better than Vim in my opinion. Okay, so I want to build for small businesses. Yeah, so then in those cases, you're probably going to be more at like the layer of the stack where you're interacting with LLMs through APIs that Anthropic or OpenAI or Gemini, Google provides. So my advice would be pick one or work through all three and learn how to interact with their APIs. Learn how to make an HTTP call to generate content, generate messages, or generate responses, I guess is the more generic way to say it, from these providers. That's like step one. Then you'll probably need to learn a little bit about like prompt engineering, like what's the right way to feed the right tokens in to get the right outputs out. But I think that's where you have to start, because anything you build for like a small to medium sized business, they're not going to self-host their own LLM. They're not going to fine-tune their own LLM in most cases. Like, you're going to use some sort of off-the-shelf LLM from one of the big 3 or 4 providers, and you are going to probably implement it either in code or some sort of no-code tool to facilitate some sort of process automation, right? Like deal with customer emails or complaints, or analyze bits of data, semantically analyze data for some, is this a positive review or a negative review, things like that. So that's probably where I would start, is like, if you don't know how to work with those APIs, figure out how to work with those APIs. Whether you do it in code or you do it through some no-code tool like N8N, that's where I would start. She understands components now through association with Figma and how they can live in different files. Very cool. Yeah, like the Figma designer and front-end developer, like triad. Yeah, Figma designer, front-end developer. That like triad, those 3 things, like, they're just getting closer and closer together, No way. Got a new best on cat. I don't know what you're talking about. Rohith, what's up, Rohith? Yeah, I took a little bit of time off, I guess. I don't know. Live streaming is always going to be one of those things that takes a back from a content creation perspective. Live streaming is always going to sort of take a back seat to life and everything else. So I try to be consistent with it. I'm not always going to be great at it. See you, Raul. Have a good day, man. Wilo Gamer. Hi, I'm back. What the Figma? Figma is a design tool. It's a pretty slick design tool. It's kind of what everybody, at least in web development, uses nowadays to do their designs in. Yeah, I mean, configuring NeoVim is a thing. MD, yeah, it's a whole thing. Why the play? I think he didn't get the joke. No, I got the, I got the joke. I got the joke, but I also thought I might explain what Figma is in case other people might be thinking, what the Figma? Oh boy. Hello, Marv. How are you? Oh, you're talking about a game. I see. Yeah, fair enough. Well, congratulations on your new best. Marv, how are you, Marv? Good to see you, man. Excuse me. Did you put the keyboard on the laptop? I see a mouse pad under the keyboard. Yeah, so that's usually when I'm working on my laptop and I want to use an external keyboard. That's usually what I do. Is I just kind of set it over the top of the laptop there like that. MD, how to contribute into open source projects? The flippant answer I wanted to give, well, you just do it. But yeah, that's kind of how it works. Like you have to be willing to like go to the repo, read through their docs. Maybe they have a contributing .md file. Then you got to work. Then you got to figure out like how do you get that project set up locally to develop on it. Then you got to start reading code to figure out how the heck the thing works. I think a lot of people who want to do open source, they what they're looking for is they're looking for someone to sort of like be their mentor on a project. Like, oh, I want to contribute to XYZ. And what they're looking for is they're looking for another contributor or another maintainer to sort of like take them under their wing and guide them, right? And that's just not how open source works. In vast majority of cases, you just have to be willing. You have to have a willingness to like dig in and figure it out, and then once you've dug in and figured it out, then you have to have the willingness to sit down and try to contribute something, one of the issues, right? Fix a bug or add a feature without having a ton of direction initially from other people. So it takes a lot of self-starting, which I know can be difficult. Do you know about a language called Solidity? No, I've never heard of that, Marv. Oh, it's related to blockchain development. Interesting. Rohit, so are you working from the kitchen now? I am today just because I felt like it. I didn't feel like working in the basement. So I'm in the kitchen right now. I contributed a lot into open source project. I added a new line. Yeah, which is fine. I mean, there's all different ways to contribute to open source, right? You can update docs, correct readmes. You can work on the test suite if the project has a test suite. But yeah, like I contributed to the Playwright repo. I added not a big feature, but I did add a feature to the Playwright library, the Node.js Playwright library. And again, it's just like you see the feature and you're like, okay. So then you start going through the docs, trying to figure out like how do you develop on this project. And then you start reading through the code and looking through the code and searching around and trying to see kind of how things are wired up and what are the entry points. And I think that's usually the most helpful thing to do when you're trying to figure out how an application works or how something you want to contribute to work, is kind of, follow some piece of functionality from the entry point all the way through the stack, right? So for like a web application, this would be like, go to a form, figure out when you click save or submit or something, where does that form go? How's the data passed? What's the endpoint that it hits? How does that endpoint handle that data that it was given? What does it do with that data in terms of processing, right? Same thing with the CLI, right? Like figure out how CLI commands are wired up, how those are parsed, how the arguments are parsed. And you just sort of kind of walk back and try to get an understanding of how something generally flows through the system. And then you start thinking about, okay, I want to add XYZ feature. Is there something about my understanding now that I can leverage to implement that? But yeah, it requires a lot of like willingness to get in, figure it out, ask dumb questions, make mistakes, and learn, really. The problem is I'm not very good at any programming language. Like I have built some projects, but I'm not confident that I can contribute. Yes, but you're MD, you're always going to be unconfident about whether you can contribute to an open source project or a project that isn't yours, because it's all unknown. You don't know very much about any of why the code is the way the code is and who made the decision for things to be the way they are. And so you can't let that stop you, MD, like that uncertainty. Don't let that stop you from trying to contribute. You've got to just take the action and then figure out what's the next action, right? So I want to contribute to this project. Okay, let me go look at the bug fixes or the feature requests. Let me pick one and let me just start diving in. And inevitably, you're going to have questions. You're going to have to delete things, make a throwaway branch, start moving code around, start adding code, deleting code, try to see if you can't wrap your head around things. But unfortunately, MD, there's no way for someone to give you just a straight linear path and checklist of like, oh, here's a bug fix. Okay, now go to this file, change this line, go to this file, change. That doesn't exist, right? And so I think that perception that does exist or that somebody does know how to do that is oftentimes holding us back from doing the things we want to do. We think there's some step-by-step roadmap out there, and there's just not. To be honest, I feel so bad for people attempting to contribute to my open source projects because it's literally completely impossible. Vilo Gamer Pro, how do I make an open source project? So an open source project is basically just a repository of code that's publicly available that other people can fork or can pull down to their machine and modify, right? So like the easiest way to do this is to just, in my opinion, the easiest way to do this is just to make a public repo on GitHub, add an MIT license, boom, it's open source. Like anybody can fork it, anybody can create a new branch and open a PR, and it's not as complicated probably as people try to make it seem, you know? I mean, obviously like open source is a whole thing, right? You can put governance models around your project, and there can be steering committees, and like, an open source project like the Linux kernel, for example, is, much more than what I just described. But like to get started, right? Like it's just code that you wrote, you put publicly online so other people can read it. They can modify it, and they can ask to merge their modifications in. Fly Fisha, welcome to level 1. I've never seen that before. Oh, because you're a member. Well, thanks, Fly Fisha. Thanks for becoming a member. I think you can use some emojis now. Like, this is probably my favorite one that members can use. These are all the emojis that members can use. Actually, this one's my favorite. Emotional Jared from Silicon Valley is my favorite. Basements feel a bit cold, but they're actually a peaceful place to work. The quiet helps me focus, even though I sometimes get sleepy. Yeah, basements are great. There are just days when it's like, especially in the mornings when my day first starts, I usually prefer to like be up in the house and not isolated away. But as the day goes on, and then I get more focused and more heads down work, then the basement's a great place to be. Did you know peanut butter and jelly is actually amazing? Peanut butter and jelly is actually amazing. I think I need to learn Git because all I know is Git clone. Yeah, learning Git's helpful if you're gonna do like, Git is very helpful like for individual programmers, but once you start working in a team, knowing how to Git branch, Git rebase, Git merge, like knowing those kinds of commands are super helpful. You could be a member of, yeah. So I added a membership level in my channel that's just like $1. I think it's 99 cents or $1 to be a member. And right now, all I have available is like emojis, and I have a Discord channel that members can be a part of. Fly Fisha is the first person that's become a member. So Fly Fisha, if you're in my Discord, let me know, and I'll add you to the I'll add you to the members only channel. Happy Cindy, hey, I love your videos, by the way. Well, Happy Cindy, that's very kind of you to stop in and let me know. I appreciate that. I didn't even know you could be a member for this channel. Yep, you can. What's your opinion about self-hosting? I think self-hosting is great. I pretty much now exclusively do self-hosting. Mainly because I want my stuff to be always on. And a lot of the free serverless the free tiers on a lot of these serverless sites are cold starts, or they like shut down after some period of time, which isn't great. So now, if I can, I try to pretty much self-host everything on some sort of VPS when it comes to the applications that I build and deploy. Thanks. That's all I needed to know. I'm going to contribute. I understood what to do now. Well, go for it, MD. I hope you open a PR somewhere. Fly Fisha, good to see you, Steven. Glad I caught the stream before work. Glad we can finally support the channel. Well, that's very kind of you, Fly Fisha. Not expected or necessary at all, but very, very kind. Get some sunlight to get some energy in addition to the caffeine boost. Yes, I do need to probably, I've been live for about an hour, so I do probably need to take a little break here, maybe get a walk, and then get a shot of caffeine and go heads down on some work. Wow, I just realized how broke I am when I can't afford 99 cents. That's not broke, you know? I mean, that's just there's no need to spend 99 cents on my channel. But if you'd like to be a member, that's very, very kind. I appreciate you. Basit. Hi. Are you from Australia? No, I am not from Australia. I live in Kansas. What's up, Bite Slayer? How are you? Stefan. Hey, hi. Hey, hi. Ho, sup? Hey. Hello, Stefan. Good to see you. I saw your GitHub profile. It looks great, like that trophies that shows on the profile. Oh yes, I used there was some website I used to create that README initially. But yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate that. I think having a good GitHub profile is useful. You know, I think there's definitely ways to game the whole GitHub game, but if you want some place to kind of showcase yourself, I think especially for like a programming and coding and development, GitHub's a great place for that. Caffeine gets a thumbs up. I like that. I tried Bluefin the other day. Super good distro. I've never heard of Bluefin, Stefan. So you are way further down the Linux rabbit hole than me. Very recommended for casual users. Interesting. Yeah, I haven't really explored the distro. I'm pretty much just stuck to Ubuntu, and that's where I live. Ubuntu server. That's pretty much where I live on the Linux side of things. Okay, I'm gonna try and make my GitHub profile better. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you have to spend hours or days on it, right? But like, I think your personal brand is important, and people may not like the term personal brand, but I think being in control of how you show up and where you show up online is important, and you should be cognizant of that. In my opinion, I don't know about you guys, but 9 times out of 10, when I meet someone new or I interact with somebody new, whether personally or professionally, one of the first things I do is just a quick Google search or a quick Facebook search or a quick LinkedIn search. So yeah, I mean, I just think that's part of the world now. So I think you should invest some amount of time, right, into how you show up online and where you show up online. The idea, PR, sorry, not Ubuntu Fedora. Fair enough. The idea is you get GUI apps with Store and your tools and CLI stuff with Homebrew. That's it. Also, you have versions like snapshots of your system. The snapshots thing is pretty cool. That's very cool. So it's practically unbreakable. Well, I like that. The built-in snapshots, right? Kind of like built-in backups almost, which is kind of nice. Obviously, probably those snapshots need to be backed up to another machine to be a real backup, but that's pretty cool. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me for an hour. I'll be live, or I plan to be live this afternoon. I got to go back and finish all that Stripe stuff I was doing. I feel like I started that and then I kind of let it die. So we're going to go back and try to focus in and really give it some effort. Okay. Bye, Pablo. See you, Stefan. Bye, Org Studios. Bite Slayer if you're still here. Fly Fish if you're still here. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye, guys. Have a good day. Bye.